You know what, Renzo? I'm actually a fan of non-linear storytelling, whether it be in books, games, movies, or TV, or any media of that sort. But wait. Oh, right. Welcome to a brand new episode of Bonus Stage Plus. Of course, my name is Billy of the Bonus Stage on 99.5 Play FM. But of course, we are doing things online right now. And with that, of course, is my partner, my player 2. His name is...
It's Renzo, folks, of The Home Run. You get to listen to me, of course, Monday to Friday with Margot on The Home Run, 6 to 9 p.m. Be sure to tune in, twitch.tv/995playfm. But for now, I'm off the clock and on to one of my favorite shows, most fun things to do, because we love just getting to sit down, talking about the latest gaming news with, of course, everyone watching on Facebook and on YouTube, wherever it may be. And we have one heck of a show today, man. I'm super excited.
It is, it's been a hell of a 24 to 48 hours, for me at least, because I've been keeping my eye on places like Twitch and YouTube because, of course, PlayStation and Nintendo have had some pretty mind-blowing presentations as of the past 2 days. And I'm just still trying to process a lot of it, but given that we, of course, want to keep things simple, we're gonna just cut it down to whatever we can as humanly possible while still giving you all the juicy details. And of course, we also might have a friend dropping by. Who could it be? And since these presentations were online, we're pulling most of our trailers from them, and by God, these are some trailers that really got me going. Like, I have to apologize to my neighbors for, like, screaming at around 4 a.m. because of some of the reveals, but then again, the acoustics in this building are pretty good, so maybe that's not something that I have to worry about too much. But before I start nerding out a little too much, even just in the opening of the show, let's get on to news. Alright, Renzo, so this is one of the few times where it actually pays to be a night owl, because this presentation that we're about to talk about happened at around Thursday, 4 in the morning, and I was just sitting here and getting hyped. Lights out, by the way. Just really want to soak it all in. And of course, this is the PS5 showcase where they finally revealed the details we've been waiting for this entire time. Of course, we know what it looks like. That was from a presentation a couple of months ago. But yes, the release date and the pricing. Of course, it'll be available in select territories on November 12th, so that's US and a bunch of other countries, and November 19th for the rest of the world. So as for the price, that's $599 for the disc version. Of course, if you still love your physical media, and I do, and given that, of course, it'll be compatible with PlayStation 4 games, I still want to be able to play these discs.
Value.
I mean, on my shelf right here. I want to get back to maybe something like Bloodborne or maybe Final Fantasy 15. Speaking of Final Fantasy, we might have something about that later on. And nice. $399 for the digital version, which is, if you look at it, or if you look at the way that this new generation is about to start, they have the base version, and of course the slightly cheaper version coming out for both Sony and Microsoft, right? You got Series S and the digital version. Now, the digital version of the PS5 isn't going to be like a less powerful version of it. It is just the exact same PS5, same guts, same capabilities, but without a disk drive. So that's what brought the price down, but it's not going to be as cheap as an Xbox Series S. Now, you're probably wondering, what else was in the presentation? Well, a lot of this might actually be discussed in the trailers section, but I'll let you know. They started strong, and I think this is something that's been rumored or been talked about over the past couple months, especially within the Square Enix general fandom. Final Fantasy 16 is a reality. It is coming. It is going to be console exclusive to PS5 with a PC version coming in at a later date. Because we talked about that before. Sony doesn't really see PC as a competing platform, more like something else that they can get to their games onto. And I know that you yourself are a huge Final Fantasy fan. More details on FF16 when we talk about the trailer and other details that also came out. 99% of PS4 games will work on PS5. So they're working on that backwards compatibility. Like I said, I still want to get back to my discs. There's some stuff that I haven't really finished all that much yet, and given that I might have some free time down the line, not that I'm getting a PS5 immediately, but I'm just thinking way far ahead. I would hate to be that one guy who owns that 1% of PS4 games that don't actually work on PS5.
I don't even know what they mean by 99%. Are they like bound by the FDA, like the same way that soaps, like soaps and alcohol can't say that they're 100% germ killing? They have to be like just 99%. But what I'm concerned about is I hope that a lot of these websites where people, of course, pre-order or order their consoles, I hope it tells people straight up that, with the non-disc version, you literally cannot buy games along with it. Because I'm seeing that there's going to be a considerable amount of people who will be buying the cheaper PS4, PS5 rather, or the cheaper Xbox Series S, but also expecting it to be compatible with games, especially those maybe who are older, not really keen on checking out the details, who may be buying these consoles for
or reading the fine
family
print, right?
members, or reading the fine print. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be displeased or unpleasantly surprised when they find out that it doesn't actually accept discs. Now, it's not the case, I'm sure, when you're buying the console in person, because I'm sure the salespeople are going to be like, "Ay, sir, di yan pwede sa discs nyo, ah," because that's perfect. But then, when it
good
comes
on
to
them
actual
too for
online
actually
work,
reminding people of that.
that's why the good people
give our
of
sales
these gaming
staff
stores.
some more credit. They make sure, even if you're someone who's been buying games for years, it's part of their protocol to actually say, "Sir, hindi po pwedeng saksakan ng disc yan."
Anong region po yung ano nyo? Anong region po yung ano nyo?
Right.
They always
They're
ask
good
the
at
region.
that.
They check. Yeah. So hopefully those incidents get avoided. But I'm also happy that cheaper options are being offered for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series Xbox Series S.
And there are more
it's kind
people
of like
who
giving
are,
flashbacks to the slim versions.
of course, moving to all digital libraries now. Now, I may have my own bones to pick with digital distribution, but that's another story that we might spend all day working on. However, to dampen, of course, the news on backwards compatibility, and this is something that is finally coming back to haunt PlayStation because of the way that their previous machines were built, except for PS4. PS5 cannot reportedly support backwards compatibility for PS3, PS2, and PS1. However, that might be fixed through something like maybe cloud gaming or something, but that's still a ways off and not really that huge of a concern for me, but I can see how, that might be a deal breaker for certain people. And Jim Ryan, of course, CEO of PlayStation, also says that they plan to have more available PS5 units than the PS4 had at launch. So they're going ham with this. So this is yet to be seen. Of course, it's going to be a while before we see these things in the wild, but this will be something worth keeping track of. And to really seal the deal on things and just, get people hyped, the presentation closed with something that everyone was waiting for, and I'm pretty sure on this. They teased the next God of War.
Wow.
Yes, and of course, they just said, let me see. We just have a short voice clip of Kratos saying something. I can't remember the exact line, but of course they did tease Ragnarok is coming, and... Yeah, apologies to my neighbors again, but we'll be talking more about the trailers that were revealed during this presentation later on. We gotta move on to something else, so here it is. And to continue things, of course, we are actually going to refer to our field correspondent, who is not actually out in the field, nor is out in the street, because, well, the circumstances that we're all in. And one little detail that I did notice is, haven't I seen this guy before, and wasn't he in Rookie Radio? But to answer all those other questions, and to just really bring him in, Renzo, take it away.
All right, folks, joining us on this episode of the Bonus Stage Plus, you may have heard his voice and most likely have seen his face, of course, covering various games such as Marvel Super War. And hopefully in the future, this one he's about to talk about, you may know him on Facebook as Renmar the Reptar. Please welcome Renmar. What's going on, man?
Thank you so much, Renzo. It has been a very interesting weekend for the world of mobile MOBA gaming. And yeah, I feel like I was in Rookie Radio at one point. So if you guys don't know what League of Legends Wild Rift is, it is the official mobile version of the worldwide phenomenon that is League of Legends. The closed beta test actually started a day earlier than expected. It was announced by Riot Games, the developer of Wild Rift, that the test would be available for Philippines on the 18th, but it actually went live around 5 or 6 p.m. last Thursday. So we don't know if that was an error on Riot's side. Maybe they just wanted to sneakily approve the entries of the closed beta testers just a day ahead, and they didn't expect, they're not going to check a day ahead. We were checking. We checked, and we got it a day early. And I have been playing it all weekend, and I feel like this is the first non-gaming related human interaction I've had, so thanks so much for having me here. It's a great port of the PC version if you've played it. If you haven't, if you're too scared to go into the PC version, they perfectly capture the feel on mobile. Of course, just more compact and quicker, so instead of having 30 to 40 minute games, you're just gonna have maybe around 15 to 20, so it's a little bit more of a time saver. Now, for those who weren't lucky enough to get into the beta test, don't fret, as there is a good chance that the full game may actually be released sometime on October, based on the language of the official statements from Riot. Like, just based on what they're saying, it really feels like we got a strong feeling it's coming out sometime in October. And if you did get into the closed beta, if you decided to purchase the virtual currencies during the beta test, there will be a reset once the game goes full release live. But you'll get the currency you bought back, and with a 20% return. I've convinced myself it's a great investment, so I've kind of bought a lot. So yeah, it's been an interesting weekend for Wild Rift.
Man, that sounds pretty crazy. I did want to ask, is it clearly a more simplified, condensed version of League of Legends? As you know, a lot of people are probably used to the very complicated and multi-layered gameplay, and as you mentioned, the 30 to 40 minute gameplay of League of Legends. But with Wild Rift, is it going to be a lot more beginner friendly / simplified?
Yeah, I would say so. The tutorial system that they have on there is really great for introducing beginners in. And just because you're great at the PC version doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be great in the mobile version. Like in the alpha test even, or maybe until now, we would go up against pros and we're surprised that we can actually go toe-to-toe against them. But in the end, we'd still lose because, come on, they're pro players.
That's
okay, on the graphical side, I got a question. Because, of course, during its more hectic moments, League can really fill up your screen with stuff. So how does that all translate onto, of course, something with smaller screen real estate?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that League PC, yeah, that is true. It is a very jam-packed game. There could be a lot, and that was one of the worries. But the way they've introduced certain elements in the user interface, where you get certain buttons that you can easily tap if you want to ping certain things around the map, you can drag a signal onto the map. It sounds complicated, but once you actually see it in action, it's surprisingly pretty majestic and beginner friendly. Even I've had friends who are new to League try out Wild Rift and they're surprised, like, wow, I'm actually getting a really good hang of this pretty quickly.
Nice. That sounds really exciting. My final question for you, Renmar, for this is, can you please stop playing so much so that by the time it's out in October, you're not super godlike and we may have stand a chance of beating you? Is that a reasonable request?
I cannot promise anything.
All right. That's no problem at all, Renmar. Thank you very much. We'll check back with him later on, folks, in the Bonus Stage Plus with more of the mobile MOBA craze and more news from him later on. In the meantime, thank you very much, Renmar.
We're watching you, Renmar. We're not done with you yet. On to the next one. And to continue things is our man on the street, who is not actually on the street, because if he were, the dude's not wearing a mask, and that would be severely dangerous. But yes, please, Renzo, take it away.
All right, folks, joining us once again on the Bonus Stage Plus to give us the latest in MOBA mobile news. But this time, he's giving us news from the world of Marvel Super War and the exciting Dominators League that's been going on. Renmar the Reptar on Facebook. Renmar, what's going on and what's up, man?
Really good. I Yes, I admitted I have been playing a lot of Wild Rift, but I've also been playing a lot of Marvel Super War just to keep up my research because I am one of the official shoutcasters for the Marvel Super War Dominators League. And if you don't know what Marvel Super War is, it is the first 5 versus 5 MOBA for mobile brought to you by Marvel. You get to play as your favorite heroes and villains from all over the Marvel universe. And it's been out since December of last year and has been awesome since release. Now, the community around it is absolutely great, and it's one of the reasons why it has a great esports scene, because even before the developers and Marvel decided, you know what, let's dip our toes into esports, put more focus in that, the community were already making their own tournaments, and the largest online league for Marvel Super War in the country, it's a passion project from its organizers. We do it out of pure love for the game and for the scene. We don't make money from it. The prize money isn't that huge, but the prestige and honor around it is there, to the point where one of the top 4 teams in Thailand joined the league. Even with all the lag issues that they know they are gonna face, even with the test, they were like, we're down. Let's keep playing. Like,
you guys are attracting competition. That's great.
Yes, and they're really good. Some of the teams are terrified, but I'm really excited to see them cast their games. Now, it runs for 14 weeks with broadcasts every Thursdays and Saturdays on the Evo Esports and Game Hub page starting at 8 p.m. And just expect it's always going to be a really great night. The community is super interactive. When we cast, we want to deliver international level casting, but at the same time make it feel like a community project. We're very interactive when we cast. It's just super fun all around. It's the Marvel Super War Dominators League.
Man, I'm super excited for this, mainly because, I mean, you know, as a caster, as you said yourself, you are an official caster for the Dominators League. I did want to pick your brain a bit. Are there any teams that have been sticking out for you that may be, as you say, potentially terrifying for the other teams? And can you speak a little bit more about them?
Well, of course, it would have to be the reigning champions. Hands down, the best team in the Philippines right now. Their name is Imperium Pro Team. At the start of the season, they went up against their rival organization. Not the typical team that they go up against, but one of the teams under the rival org named One Snap Next Gen. And what happened was, Next Gen, they're actually consisted of different members of the One Snap family and from other teams. Pretty much, they're an all-star team as well. But they got 2-0'd, and it was quite a one-sided affair. So the reigning champs looking absolutely terrifying.
I think it only goes to show how unpredictable and how varied in scale these teams are, which makes the Dominators League even more exciting to watch and, of course, catch. When does it air again? You mentioned which nights?
Every Thursdays and Saturdays on the Evo Esports and Game Hub page, almost every week.
Okay, and now, of course, as a caster, you do have to analyze a lot of the plays and team compositions. And I realized, Billy, you know, a lot of the time when people talk about, you know, metas in esports, they usually fall under, you know, deaf ears when it comes to people who are not familiar with the games because they don't really get to relate to these characters. But with Marvel Super War, you can talk about team compositions and you'll be referencing characters that people know well, really well, and love from the movies and the comic books and every other media. So tell us, Renmar, what are the kind of prominent team comps and the prominent metas happening in the Dominators League right now?
Well, surprisingly enough, one of the strongest, or maybe the strongest pick in the meta at this point, is a character that's not known a lot, but if you're a fan of the comics, and especially X-Men, you've probably heard of Moonstar. Moonstar just came out and is played as a jungle marksman or in the bottom lane, sometimes the mid lane, and it's scary. Hands down, it has to be banned. As a former coach as well, all the coaches, all the teams, players have decided, guys, we have to ban it. And the times we've seen it not banned in that first day, it just absolutely tore up the map. Completely one-sided affairs all around. That hero is close to broken, but in the hands of pros, it's something else. Definitely has to be something watch out for in this meta, Moonstar.
I love that there's yes.
Yeah.
I love that there's a layer of familiarity when it comes to something like Marvel Super War because, as everyone knows at this point, it has become a running joke, I have a severe MOBA blind spot. All right?
Yeah.
But the very fact that this is something like Marvel Super War where, yes, there is something there that I like, adds a layer of something, or, yeah, adds at least something that I can latch onto and be able to follow the game with. And you did mention, of course, Moonstar, right? Of course, I think she was featured most recently in New Mutants, but the less we say about that movie, the better. But, yeah, like a lot of games, or that are built off of existing licenses, especially if it's something that's completely unfamiliar to you, or a genre. Like, say, there aren't a lot of people familiar with fighting games, but the fact that there's a very good Power Rangers fighting game out there just brings in people. So, Redmar, do you get people who aren't too familiar with MOBAs watching your streams, but are huge Marvel fans, or the like?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I could say with confidence that a good amount of the community or the new players who come in aren't just completely like MOBA players. They're just Marvel fans in general. And
Sweet.
Okay, something that I like to share, and one of the best things to see in game, especially in the early days when, the people were just coming in, every time they would get an awesome moment, say with Captain America, they're gonna drop a famous line that they'll say. Like, if this Captain America is having a really good game, once he gets like 5-6 kills in a row, he just goes, "I can do this all day" in chat.
Yes.
It's like moments like that really shows the love for Marvel pouring into playing a MOBA game.
Well, there you go, folks. You heard it from him himself. Even if you don't play Marvel Super War per se, if you love the characters, love the world, and just want to see some good, solid MOBA action, then be sure to tune in to the Marvel Super War Dominators League, which happens Thursdays and Saturdays. And which Facebook page is that again, Renmar?
That's the Evo Esports and Game Hub page.
There you go. Thank you very much, Renmar. Now, before we let you go, please let everybody know watching where they can follow your pages online and any other pages you may want to share to everybody to learn more about the league.
Well, as we did mention, you can follow the Evo Esports and Game Hub page for up-to-date updates. A bit redundant.
Yeah, that sounds
for the Marvel
Just keep
Super
going.
War Dominator. You can follow my page as well. It's Renmar the Reptar. That's fb.gg/masarepi.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Renmar.
And we'd love to have you stay on, because we have some really juicy trailers to dig into. So let's get to it. I've honestly been waiting for this part for today's show because we have a lot of trailers to go through. And first up, we have the official announcement trailer for Final Fantasy 16. I did not think that I'd be saying that number behind a Final Fantasy, but here we are. And as a little bit of personal background for both of us, I started with Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, that was my first legit FF. But if you ask me for my personal favorite, the game that really breaks me and brings the waterworks, and I still think stands up today, is Final Fantasy VI. How about you, Renzo?
Started with 8, loved it ever since. Of course, I've played the others, 10, 10-2, and even 15, as, we both got at the same time. But 8 just strikes that perfect mix of nostalgia and also a cast of characters that you grow abnormally attached to over the years. So it's just, Final Fantasy, man, it's just always a series that it's hard to disappoint with Final Fantasy.
It has its highs and its lows, but generally, a lot of people love this series anyway. And with the trailer of 16, there's a lot to take in, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that's worth noting, because this comes from the same team that handles Final Fantasy 14, which, by all accounts, is easily one of the best MMOs out there, if you're just going by word of mouth, and I think even critically, it's doing really well. I've got people who've been trying to rope me into that, and of course that's another rabbit hole that I really can't afford time-wise to go into, but I hear that it's really good. And the battle director for this one is someone who worked on Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry 5. Of course, he's formerly Capcom, and you're gonna see the Devil May Cry influence in this trailer because it's heavily action-oriented. There are combos, there are air juggles, and all that. And you know me, Renzo. I love character action games. I love looking cool while I fight.
Get yourself an S rank in Final Fantasy 16.
No, not just an S rank. I want to go for that triple S. So there's no release date yet, but they're going for a pretty serious and grim direction with this one. For Final Fantasy, there's a ton of blood in this one.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood, and it was really dark, and not a lot of bright and fantastical colors, which is kind of what we're used to in the Final Fantasy series, much to a lot of people being a little disappointed with how the trailer looks. But I feel like, I started off disappointed myself, but I feel like this is them just trying to go back to their roots of medieval Final Fantasy and trying to kind of separating themselves and distancing themselves away from the futuristic, explosion of colors that they once were. But I feel like there's a middle ground that you could hit with both. But for now, it really seems like it's going in that direction, as you mentioned, very serious, very dark, and also very straight up medieval.
And speaking of going medieval, I mean, the only bright and flashy, one of the few things that were bright and flashy within the trailer was like seeing dudes getting set on fire. That sets the tone for a lot of things. But enough of us nerding out over this single trailer. How about you watch it yourselves?
You all know the target. Shiva's dominant. And only the dominant.
How do we even know the girl will be among us?
Our kind do not question orders, we follow them.
Sergeant, let's summon their icon.
Icon? That thing's a bloody mountain.
Our foe will not relinquish their mother crystal easily. This will be a bitter fight.
You should not be out of doors. We have discussed this. Come, Joshua. Your father will be expecting us.
I am Joshua's shield. I'm sworn to protect him.
What do you mean you refuse? Did you not pledge your sword to our cause?
What does it matter? It was the Dalmex who drove back the Crusaders in the Battle of the Twin Realms, was it not?
Without the blessing of the Mother Crystal, we cannot defend our realm from the spread of the Blight.
So I sit in the Dragoons. Imperial Vipers. Do they really mean to invade us?
It's the Archduke's son.
Phoenix.
Joshua! Stop this!
Second icon of fire. But that's impossible. The legacy of the crystals has shaped our history. I'll kill you. If it's the last thing I do.
Like I said earlier, we'll be pulling a lot of today's trailers from the PS5 showcase, which happened Thursday morning, 4 a.m. I was basically hyped up on coffee. I needed it. It was a weird Wednesday night, well, a hectic Wednesday night, and just going into it, I didn't expect this game to be revealed, although we knew that there was talk of it, and it was sort of in development already. We're talking about Hogwarts Legacy, and not just that. Of course, if you've been following the news lately, there's a lot of baggage that goes with this one, especially in relation to, of course, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling and her stance on certain issues Now to, of course, bring in someone more enlightened on that, or who could explain it more articulately than I could, Renzo, help me out.
All right, folks. Well, for those of you who don't know, J.K. Rowling did stir some controversy and
yeah.
has been stirring controversy over the last couple of months with her stance against people who are transgender. And, you know, it has caused a bit of a rift within the community. And, of course, she has doubled down on her comments against the trans community, much to a lot of people's disappointment and much to a lot of people leading to boycotting anything Harry Potter, anything that she creates. And Warner Brother Games did reassure people, however, that J.K. Rowling did not have any part or was not directly involved with the creation of Hogwarts Legacy. And while it is, of course, using the world that she created and characters that she created as well, she's not directly involved with the game, and is probably a sign that it is safe to still purchase the game and support it if you are part of that J.K. Rowling boycott.
Now, of course, we're very much aware of how important the Harry Potter franchise is to a lot of people. Of course, especially if they read the book series in their formative years. I, for one, kind of missed that train, but just seeing my friends, I mean, I realize how near and dear this is to them. And of course, this being a touchy subject, and I feel like it's our responsibility to actually bring this up because we still want to consume our media responsibly. We're also going to leave it up to you to decide whether you actually want to continue supporting this. I mean, it's also a Harry Potter fan's dream come true to have like a large social space, a virtual space to interact with other fans in, which from the looks of it, it looks like Harry Potter crossed with Destiny or something like an MMO or something. And I'm pretty sure that somewhere some fan had this dream and now it's becoming a reality, and have that well poisoned by, of course, the author's beliefs is kind of a downer. But still, we're leaving that all up to you, and well, good on Warner Brothers, I guess, for releasing that statement, and we really do hope that they, of course, really back it up by just really not have her involved in it, because, you know, she did say some awful things, and instead of apologize, no, she had to do it again. But this is another conversation that we'll probably have on our own time, and maybe you could join us for it. We got to give you the trailer.
Magic, both beautiful and powerful, binds together our long history. That common bond we share is the legacy of Hogwarts. Now it is time to add your own story to these hallowed halls, and quite possibly shape the future of the wizarding world. Every corridor, every portrait, every stone in this castle tells the story of witches and wizards who came before. Here you will meet lifelong friends and grow into your own magical abilities in the classrooms of the world's most talented professors. And while your journey begins at Hogwarts, brewing potions, taming fantastic beasts, and mastering spells, there is a larger world beyond these walls. A world filled with dangers you can't yet imagine. An ancient knowledge long gone from this world. That strange and mysterious talent you possess may be the key to unlocking this dormant power. Your potential is limitless. But what form will it take? The journey ahead will reveal what you stand for. The choices you make now will define the legacy of Hogwarts.
All right, folks, and on to the next trailer. As we mentioned earlier, of course, with the Final Fantasy 16 ramp up, it did have shades of Devil May Cry in its combat. And as we mentioned that, Billy, who wishes to triple S rank his way through life, and of course through the bonus stage plus, is here to give us the lowdown on the special edition announcement trailer of Devil May Cry 5. Billy, what's going on, man?
So from the moment that they started rolling that trailer, I knew it was DMC5 from basically just the first frame. That doesn't reveal how obsessed I am with this game, does it? But
it's a good game.
I mean, it is a fantastic game. It's easily my favorite of 2019. Yes, shameless Devil May Cry fan here. Here, in fact, okay, I'll just give you one story. I was supposed to stream it, like the entire playthrough, on the bonus stage page, but I kind of just blazed through it in a night. So,
well,
I wanted to save that playthrough for an audience, but I just got so hooked on it. It's like, oh, I forgot to stream this. But, of course, with every special edition, all they have to do, really, and they've done this with Devil May Cry 3 and 4, is put Virgil into it. Dante's twin brother. And you will
shove
get
Virgil into it.
You'll get there. And of course, the moment that I knew that they were bringing him back is having Dan Southworth, of course, narrate the trailer, and then I got goosebumps. Because, well, it's been long requested that, hey, when are you going to make Virgil playable? Are you going to make him DLC? Or are you going to do a special edition? Capcom has denied having plans to make a special edition, but I guess, you know, they finally backpedaled on it and like, you know what, let's make a special edition, let's stick Virgil in there. Although he's been made playable through the use of mods on the PC version, I think they're adding a couple more things to make him not just simply you know, Virgil being made playable or just being slapped into the game. If you're going to look at one particular sequence, he can actually and this is a bit of a story spoiler, he can use Yamato and just bring V out of him, which is of course his human component, and then that's another different set of attacks. And of course they're bringing in turbo mode, which increases the speed of an already fast game. They're bringing in legendary Dark Knight mode, which basically increases the number of enemies to Dynasty Warriors levels, and
perfect.
It gets insane with that, and a bunch of other things. Now, if you're wondering about the release let's say, structure of this, it's going to be available digitally at launch for, of course, both PS5 and Xbox Series X, and a physical version is coming at a later date. And for owners of, let's say, the previous gen versions, Virgil himself will be available as paid DLC, so everyone still gets to play, and he won't be locked behind next gen. So that's cool. And enough about me nerding out over this, because I've already done my share of it for the past, I don't know, 1.5 days. Here is the trailer for Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition.
That day, if our positions were switched, would our fates be different? Would I have your life and you mine? You a demon? This
Now, Billy, you mentioned a bunch of times on the show before that you have been able to stay up, or at least, stay up late enough to catch these live streams and live shows. Now, I, who usually stays up without a purpose, and you, who stays up with such purpose to watch these things, do you have some sort of spreadsheet that you keep track of with all of these late night showings and conversions to our time zone? Like, what's going on here, really, Billy? And what else you got to tell us?
I can neither confirm nor deny, but anyway, Thursday night, 10 p.m. local time, of course, Nintendo had a mini direct partner showcase. Of course, they showed off games from third-party developers for Nintendo Switch. And by the way, as a bit of a side story, pour one out, please, for the Nintendo 3DS, because they have officially stopped support for it. I mean, there's still more 3DSs out in the wild, so maybe you might want to get one now that, prices will drop, but if you wait a few more years, they'll go back up again because they might become collector's items. But aside from that, this is the thing that they opened up with, and I did a little watch party with some close friends, and I had to take my headphones off because they were screaming in my ears. Because we're all Monster Hunter fans. They finally announced that thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, Monster Hunter Rise. It looks amazing. Of course, this is the Switch we're talking about, not the most graphically capable console out there, but compared to what came before it, which was Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which is a poster that is right behind me. Wait.
There you go.
Right there. Okay, you can probably see it.
Yeah, right there. I see it.
There. Of course, Generations Ultimate was built off of a graphics engine that started all the way back in PS2, for that matter. Wow. Of course, and Generations Ultimate is a port of a 3DS game. This one is being built exclusively for Switch, and this is something that I've been wanting since Capcom said that they're interested in making a Monster Hunter for Switch. It looks like it's halfway between classic Monster Hunter, which I know, Renzo, you have your own bones to pick with because it's really hard to get into. It's very esoteric.
Scary and hard, Billy.
And then World, which you love because of the number of hours you put into it, and we played together. It looks like the halfway point between that because some of the quality of life improvements made in World are seemingly in Rise. You also get a really cool grappling hook. You also get a mount that looks like a really cool wolf called a Palamute. Nice. There's a new village whose name actually escapes. And then right after the Nintendo Direct, they even had a 15-minute separate direct dedicated to Monster Hunter Rise because they're banking a lot on this one, and you know how big Monster Hunter is, not just of course in other countries, but in, I guess, the most important places is Japan, right?
Yeah.
So really hyped for this, and it's coming in a lot sooner than we think. March 26, 2021. Putting this on my birthday wish list.
We got you, Billy. We got you.
So yes, not just that, they also announced Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is a separate thing that we'll be talking about at a later time. But yeah, if you're a fan of all things Monster Hunter, like I am, I'm just giddy, all right? Just like before I really start like squealing with more delight here, let's roll the trailer.
Oh, that's my pup. Let's go!
I just got an important letter. It looks like we've got a rampage on our hands. It's been 50 years since the last calamity. That monster is known as Magnum Hollow.
Take this!
After it! Got it.
You're done for!
Have a taste of this! This is for my fellow hunters!
Shall we go?
Hello, hello, you're still here on Bonus Stage Plus, and today we are doing a first impressions run of WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which released last Friday, September 18th. By the way, shoutouts to 2K Asia for sending us a code so we can show off the game for you guys. And yeah, I'm not going to delay you any further. Let's take a look at it. Of course, you got different modes right here. This is the main menu that we're all looking at. Of course, you got play, news section, you have the store where you can get cosmetic items for the in-game currencies. There is one that you earn in-game and one that you can buy separately with real money. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of that, at least from the looks of it, you can still earn everything in-game. You just have to, of course, grind for those coins. And moving along, of course, we have the Superstar Shop. And when this game was first announced, I did say that everybody looked like action figures, and of course that was the aesthetic that they were going for. And I really like how they did the shop this time. Of course, everyone is presented as action figures. Of course, these are the unlocked characters already. Of course, they've been taken out of their boxes. And, well, at the start, of course, there aren't a lot, but the roster apparently is pretty huge, and we are going to scroll through some of them. Of course, I don't quite have the currency to get all of them just yet. Maybe I might be able to buy a couple, but we're gonna look through them. So, as you can see, everyone, no, they're not in alphabetical order, I believe. Anyway, of course, you got Becky Lynch, you got Bailey, Asuka, Alicia Fox. Let's scroll down a little further. Hulk Hogan is here. You got Mankind, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is really expensive. It's gonna take a while before I actually get him. You got The Rock, and of course, a bunch of other classic superstars. So, yeah, expect to put in a number of hours before you unlock the entire roster. I gotta say, I like the presentation here. Like, yes, they are presenting them as action figures, and this doesn't just apply to the character shop, but it also sort of carries over to the actual matches. And we're gonna show you that in just a bit. So of course, as with I guess most wrestling games these days, there's a character creator. However, I gotta say it is not as flexible as something you'd expect from your regular WWE 2K game. And of course, they are taking a break this year and hopefully coming back next year with I guess, realigned priorities, because we can all admit that 2K20 was kind of a mess. And, of course, Saber Interactive taking the helm this year and releasing an arcade-style wrestling game, which I really could use. For the past couple of years, we've been running with WWE 2K and their simulation-style wrestling. I wanted something a little more fun, a little more over the top, and they gave us this. There's also a battleground creator, which of course lets you edit your own rings and arenas, and that is pretty much it. There are also daily challenges, so think of this as something that you would see in a mobile game where you have to complete certain parameters or certain challenges, and they still reward you with currency. It all works towards being able to unlock costume parts, customization parts, and of course more superstars. So, alright, with that, let's show you a match. Well, let's also show you the different modes that they got here. You have the campaign, which of course lets you create your own character and then rise through the ranks in a story. You also have the Battleground Challenge, which uses your custom characters. Exhibition matches, which are split between divisions, men and women's, King of the Battleground, and a tournament mode. And of course, within the exhibition, you have a slew of other modes. So there's a lot to go through, but of course, we're gonna go with 1-on-1 for right now. All right, so player one, or one, it's one player versus a CPU opponent. And yes, this is the art style or art direction that they're definitely going with. And yeah, not a lot of people available at the start, but let's go. Yeah, let's pick Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston!
And you might have heard it, of course, whenever they get called out in the character selection screen. The audio, of course, comes out through your PS4 controller speaker. At least on this platform. Let's pick an opponent. So, how about...
Bray Wyatt!
Now let's pick Bray Wyatt. So, match configuration, battlegrounds, match rules, match options, and difficulty. So, what do we have? We only have New York available, because of course I've only played this for about an hour or so. Just took it for a spin. Okay, match rules. You have just these two options right here. Match options, ring weapons, spectator weapons, interactive map items, power-ups, and a destructible ring. Yes, the ring will take damage and eventually get destroyed along the course of the match. So, yeah, let's leave it at medium. Alright, since we are pretty much good to go. Alright, I am actually quite glad that the loading times here are shorter compared to the WWE 2K game, so I really don't have to go on for that long until the match loads. But I will tell you now that if you're coming from, of course, the games that have been developed by Ukes and Visual Concepts, you might have to change things, of course, quite a bit in terms of how you control it, because, yes, different control scheme that they have here, and this is a lot more beginner-friendly, and they're really trying to appeal to a casual audience for this one, which I can actually commend, and they've done some pretty fun things with it. A few things could be tighter so far in the few matches that I've played. Of course, well, don't expect the full entrances like they would in, of course, real WWE or in the other games. You just get this standard entrance for everyone where they just drop into the arena in a crate, they bust out of it while their entrance music plays. Of course they do their signature poses and such, but don't expect an entire cutscene of them walking into the ring. There's none of that here. It's just a quick intro, and then it just takes you straight into the match. Not a lot of fluff, but if you're expecting some of the usual stuff from other WWE games, it's not quite here. Alright, time for an overview of the combat system. Alright, if you don't mind me bringing up the pause menu, and then let's go to controls. Alright, these are the controls. As you can see, there's a lot to take in. However, once you get used to it, you really don't have to think too much about it. So you got different classes of superstars. You got high flyers, you got the powerhouse, brawler, all-rounder. Very self-explanatory. Of course, we're going with Kofi Kingston. He's more of a high flyer, or yeah, that is his class right now. And then there are special moves attached to each class of superstar. So you got the Whiplash, which is L2 square, and L2 triangle is the knee-high. Alright. L2 is basically your modifier for special moves. And then, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, here's a tutorial. Really quick scroll through everything. Okay. Basic hits. There's no longer a separate strike and grapple button. Square and triangle are your punch and kick buttons respectively. And then you have a separate button for grabbing your opponent or putting them in a grapple, and then a separate button for either pinning them or putting them into an Irish whip. And then the submission and pin mechanics here are also pretty different, which I probably won't explain at length at this point, but yes, combo system is pretty simple. Square, square, square will give you a simple combo, or triangle, triangle, and triangle. So there's no interface, or there are no interface elements at the bottom of the screen. Well, there are some. Okay, my bad. Don't expect the health bars because they're all at the feet of your superstar. Alright, so you have, let me see, The green one that you're seeing under Kofi Kingston is his health bar. The blue one is for stamina and that big circle that everyone's standing on. Everyone's got that. That's your heat meter, and that basically determines whether you can perform special moves or not, or counters. So what you want to do is, of course, fill that up as you go along. And, yes, just be able to perform signature moves. The right stick, by the way, is also for special throws. However, I get thrown. And then just hit X furiously to get back up. There's a parry system here, by the way. As you're about to get hit, of course, press R1. That's the block button. But if you want, as we say in fighting games, frame advantage, like being able to move before your opponent does, of course, best to parry them. L2, R2, also for specials. Takes a huge chunk of health. Does considerable damage. So everything's blocked. There's the parry right there. And it puts your opponent in a stagger state, allowing you to attack way earlier and do nearly whatever you want. Okay, if it's a chair fight you want, it's a chair fight you're getting. See, there's a parry from Bray Wyatt. There's another parry from me. I might be having fun with the parry system as we go along, because if you personally know me, you know I'm all about the parries and defensive options. So I'm just glad that there's something like this here. And the effect, that little stagger that they go into when you do a parry. Of course, you do this by pressing R1 at the moment of impact. They just reel back a bit and you can basically counter. So right now, I'm just doing nothing but strike combos. And since he's in red health, I'm not quite sure if we can pin him just yet. Oh, of course, you gotta fill up that bar by mashing. So he's still, excuse me, still able to get out of that. Alright, still performing combos. We can stand him up by using X, and then grapple him with the right stick. But there's a counter right there. And if they have enough heat gauge, they can actually do that to you, and you to them. A prompt will show up if you ever get grabbed.
Can't wait to see what happens next. Unblockable force is activated.
Okay. You have power-ups here too, and you can change that loadout before you go into a match, but these are the 3 defaults that you have. There's attack power-up. There's one that does quick recovery, which of course recovers health. And you also have one that makes your attacks unblockable for a set amount of time. So let's pin him again. Try to end the match early. 2. Oh, still a kick out. Let's go for another grapple. Nope. Of course, you can actually just avoid attacks altogether by staying out of striking range. If you mash too much, you're going to probably mistime the button prompts in counters. So, yeah, be mindful of what you're pressing. Clearly, I'm not applying my own advice. So, another special. I just love the reeling that they do. The ramping. Okay, let's block that. R2 gives you a running attack, and, well, I messed that up. Okay. I can't pin him, so I gotta get back in the ring.
Yep, back in.
Knock him down here.
Looking for something to use under the ring.
There we go. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. So that, friends, is one match in WWE 2K Battlegrounds. It's fun, and as I told Renzo earlier about my so far short experience with the game, it really does feel like you're smashing your action figures together. And since I'm playing this solo, I definitely would believe that this is something that is way better with friends, especially when you get maybe 3 or more players in. Yes, the more players that you toss into a match, the more chaotic it gets. And I can't wait to see actual ring destruction. I'll try to do that on stream as we go along. Of course, that is facebook.com/bonusstage995. And so far, yeah, I would recommend this. If you don't have a lot of time to play, it might take a while for you to actually unlock the rest of the roster, especially since they've got classics like Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Jake the Snake Roberts, and such. But in terms of combat, it's simplistic enough for anyone to get into. I like that the parry system is there, adds a layer of death, and of course, I love parries. That's pretty much it. So if you put a good parry system into your game, I will take notice. And of course, I get my currency reward right here. And if I level up, I also get an extra bonus on top of that, which also leads to more unlocked superstars. So I really can't wait to get more, because some of the more prominent ones, even currently, are locked behind the character shop. So you can either spend real money on that, which maybe don't do that. I mean, these are tough times. But, of course, save up those in-game credits and get them. And with that, of course, this has been Bonus Stage Plus. We will be back with a final verdict on this game as I try to put in more hours into this and maybe get to play with some other people online. I can't do offline right now. You know the circumstances. And you can find us at 95PlayFM on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're also on Twitch, where you can catch our shows live and even chat with the hosts. As for yours truly, that is _Burns on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. I am messing up the order of social media platforms, but you get the idea. And with that, we will see you next time, and do stay safe.